Oh, I went way too hard with this blue. Oh no, I ruined it. Hello. Sorry, I have weird hair today. It's very rainy, weird, and humid here. um, so I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best. The frizz is real. Hey cutie! In today's video, we're going to be taking these Pantone postcards and mixing colors into the randomly drawn cards out of this box. I know this is a little bit of a trend lately. You might have seen some other creators on YouTube doing this, and I just wanted to, throw my hat in the ring too and see how it goes. So if you want to see how well I do, keep watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I hope it is as fun of a time as I'm expecting. As always, we're going to be using our trusty cat knife. So like I mentioned in the intro, if you watch art YouTube, you've probably seen folks like Jazza, Sarah Renee Clark, maybe even Chloe Rose doing this, where they take something and mix colors and see how well they can match the color of the object. Well, I'm going to be doing it with these Pantone cards. Oh, it's got a little ribbon so you can take them out. That's nice. So I think the most fair way to do this is going to be to randomly pick. And they are postcards, so if you want to use them as postcards, you can. But I think they're better suited for art purposes, personally. So they are in some kind of order. So I think when I pick, I don't want to really look at them, so I'm just going to close my eyes. Let's look at the colors we got. So we've got Moonrock, which is a nice neutral, almost green-gray. The yellow. Not all of these have fun names. Winter Wheat. Black Iris, which is like a deep, deep bluey purple color. Another kind of beige. Ooh, this is pretty. This is almost like a cornflower blue. Like really light. More beige. I picked a bunch of beige. Ooh, this Celestial is a pretty blue. And another green-gray. Alright. Now I'm going to start with trying to just use our primary colors. I think I'll do an RGB CMK combination, or CMY combination, because as you may know, depending on if you're doing traditional or digital art, your primaries differ a little bit, and it kind of seems like CMY is the more accurate primary colors combination, but we'll do RGB too, just to cover our bases. So let me lay out our colors. Oh, it said RGB, but I guess I meant RYB. Sorry. I'm so used to the gamer stuff, the gamer gear stuff. It should be yellow. So yellow is consistent between both combinations, so I'll just put our one yellow. And these are all Liquitex Professional Heavy Body Acrylics. Those are what I personally use. This is also just a nice palette. Some bright, happy colors. Almost primaries. And then we'll do some white, black, and gray. So I really don't use black very often because there are better shades, well, better colors for shading and deepening colors, deepening tones. So it was dried shut. So we're gonna go for this Pantone 414 first. This is a nice gray with, I feel like, just a touch of green. It might, is it cheating to use gray? I'm not sure. That's what I'll start with. I don't know if there are really rules. I also don't want to mix too much of each color because this is just for the purpose of mixing it. So we'll start with just little bits. Just a little bit of our not cyan. A little bit of yellow. And then if that's too green, we'll neutralize it with some red or magenta. It might also be a little bit dark, but if we need to add some white, we will. Alright, let's see how close we get right off the bat. It's definitely darker, so we will have to add some white. Before I add any more color, I want to see if we can lighten it up and see how close we are. It looks like it might need a little bit more yellow. This cyan slash blue is pretty strong. Also, after this one, I think I'll switch to a metal palette knife just because it cleans the palette paper off a bit better. It's smoother on the edges. Okay, let's add some white. Let's see how close we are. Yeah, it's a little too cool, actually. I think I'll add a touch more yellow and a tiny bit of red. Gotta be careful with the red though, it's very strong. Let's see, we can neutralize this green tone just a little bit. Add a little bit of water to the situation too, just so the paints don't dry out, because they are acrylics and they have a tendency to do that. And I can feel them trying to set already. I think now it's a bit too warm. I went too far. See? The red is touchy. So I'll add a touch more of the cyan and try to get all this excess red off of the palette knife because it keeps adding more. I always tend to mix way too much paint because I just keep adding more. I'm never quite spot on, but I think this is good practice. Now I think we have the tone almost right. It's still a bit too warm, I think. And I just touched paint. Good job. A bit too warm, and still a little bit too dark too, so we'll also lighten it up a little bit. I'm gonna take some of this white. And actually a little bit of this brilliant blue. Just a touch though. We'll see where that takes us. Because these are heavy body acrylics, they're very pigmented. So just the tiniest amount of paint can totally change the color. Like already look at that difference. I think I might have brought it a little bit too cool. It's trial and error. I'm glad this isn't a speed challenge. So instead of going for the red, I'm going to grab just a touch of the yellow. I'm glad I did pull back on the blue a bit though. Okay, let's see. Okay, the yellow might not be quite strong enough. Yellows do tend to be a bit more transparent. There's something in there that I can't put my finger on. It's almost like it needs a purple. So maybe I need to add some magenta. I think that did bring us closer, so let's just add a tiny bit more of that. That's pretty close. I think it needs just a touch more white. Now if I were using more colors, I might add a little bit of bronze yellow because it's a more neutral kind of yellow and it would level it out a little bit. But this is a challenge, so I'm just using these colors. You know, that might be pretty close. Let's see. Okay, moment of truth. I'm scared because if this doesn't match, you'll be able to tell. Let me grab a brush. No cheating. I'm taking it straight from there. And hey, that's, hey. I mean, can you even see it? Oops. I think I did okay. Hey. We'll let that dry and see how it goes. Alright. Next, we're gonna go for Celestial, which is this nice deep blue color. I think I'm going to start with our brilliant blue and a bit of magenta. Maybe a little bit of black to bring it darker. And if that skews too purple, I'll add some cyan as well. I think adding the black initially is where I mess up. So like I was saying, black is not a good color necessarily for shading or deepening tones. I'm not as good at this as I hoped. Gosh, this is only our second one and I feel like I'm failing. I think this is as close as we might get. Which isn't too far off. It's not too bad. So let me take our brush and make a little mark. It's definitely lighter than the Pantone shade, but I think the spirit's there. We'll leave this to dry. Well, I'll do an update on all the dried ones once we get through these. Alright, our next color is kind of a cream. A nice weird beige kind of shade. It's like peachy almost, but like diluted. Let's give it a shot. Next is this kind of gray blue color. This is the one that I said was like a cornflower blue earlier. I think that's pretty close. It might not be perfect, but I think I'm happy with it. Yeah, not quite right. I think it's not quite light enough. And let's try it, just a touch of gray. And the rest of this white, and see if we can get it just a little closer. There we go. That's a lot closer. Okay. This is our next color. It's kind of a bronzy, gold, yellow type of color. So I think it's going to be mostly yellow, just a bit of teal, and some white, maybe a little bit of gray. But let's give it a shot. Oh, I went way too hard with this blue. Oh no, I ruined it. Oh no. Well. I was really close. Here's the proof. Let's grab this off the side. I was so close. See, that's almost perfect. But I'm not working my way back from this. I'm sorry. That's disappointing. Gotta be careful with your colors. I was talking and mixing. So that said, yeah, this next one's gonna be the last one. I'm a little frustrated with myself, I'm sorry. I think I am going to do the next one in the stack, which is this black iris, which I know looks almost black, but it is dark purple, like really dark purple. So normally, what I would do is just grab this dioxazine purple and maybe add a little bit of more blue or maybe even black to deepen it up. But that's not the challenge. We're mixing colors, so let's do it. I think this is going to be tough since it is such a deep color. So when you're trying to mix a really light but still saturated color, kind of like that neon green that we mixed on accident, usually what folks will recommend is taking a neon paint and adding it to your mix instead of white or alongside white, because the white is just going to desaturate the color a bit. It will lighten it, but it'll also make it less intense. So the neon adds that brightness and punchy color without desaturating it. Now, I haven't seen a good recommendation for darker colors, aside from just using darker colors out of the tube. So I am not sure. On the plus side, this is saturated, but it's not like punchy. It's fairly close to black, so we might be able to get pretty close to it by adding black. I just worry we're going to take away the color too much. But we'll see. We'll see. It's not too far off, considering it's a little bit more desaturated, but I kind of expected that, so let's look through these one by one, see how we did. Now this one is pretty close. It looks like the color I mixed was a little bit darker, but like I mentioned, acrylics dry darker, so it's a little bit hard to tell. You have to kind of guess for that sometimes, and I guessed incorrectly. But, I mean, for being the first one we mixed, not bad. This next one has a similar issue to this last one, in that it's hard to mix something so saturated without having something similar out of the tube. It's kind of limiting. I think particularly with acrylics, you need to round out your colors a bit if you want these deep saturated tones. But it's still pretty close, and it's a nice color. This one, we got almost spot on, honestly. This is a little bit more, just the tiniest bit more saturated, I think. And because of the difference in texture, you can really see it. But just barely. If you were to look at it across the room, you might... Oh, I'm sorry. If you were to look at it across the room, you might not notice it immediately. This one we gave a few shots. This is the closest we got, and it was still not quite right. I couldn't quite get it to the right low saturation, but still keeping the right tone. I could have kept going, but I didn't want to. Until we added way too much blue to this one, we got really close. Especially this last little bit, where I just had like a speck of blue in it. When I touched it, it was damn near perfect. But I was not paying attention to what I was doing and added way too much blue. This one, it's not quite dry, but like we discussed, it is really hard to get such a saturated but still dark color. But I think I got pretty close, all things considered. It's not bad. But all in all, this was a fun experience, sometimes a little bit frustrating, but I think it was good practice and a good look at color theory and how that applies to painting and mixing colors. Now, I do often talk about color theory stuff while working on paintings. Like, adding cool tones to your shadows and sometimes warm tones to your lights. It's more realistic. And how you don't necessarily want to shade with black and things like that. So this isn't like a full overview on color theory and all of the full extent of what it entails, but I still think it's a good look. That said, thank you so much for watching. This was a really cool time. Keep an eye out for the next video. My socials are down in the description. If you feel like it, why don't you leave a comment? Maybe a like, maybe subscribe. Let me know which color was your favorite. Would you prefer me to pick out colors that I'm confident about in the future to try to mix those? Like, let me know what you think. And most of all, don't forget to stay charming. Goodbye.